everyone. Welcome to the October 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Select Board in the town of Wilmington. I'll ask for a roll call at this time.
Frank West here.
Lilia Maselli here.
Greg Bendel here.
Kevin Kyra here.
Gary DePalma here. Now I'll ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to read transmitting of the Treasury warrants, 2415, 2415W, 2415T, 2415S, 2416, 2416W, 2416T. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Approved.
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I would like to address my reaction to public comments made at the last open meeting of the Select Board. I regret the language I used in reaction to the disturbing comments made to me personally, and for that language, I apologize. I am not excusing my language or reaction. However, it was not premeditated, nor does it define who I am and the type of person I am. We are all human, and I hope you can recognize the humanity in my reaction. I take my responsibilities to the town of Wilmington and its residents very seriously, and I will continue to undertake those responsibilities to the best of my ability. Again, I apologize for my language, and I look forward to continue to address the important business of the town. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to make a statement right now regarding public comments. We are going to give 30-minute time period for public comments, 3 minutes per speaker, with no second chances. If you want to speak, you'll have 3 minutes, and then we'll leave it to the next person, and so on, and we will have 30 minutes. Thank you. Now to appointments. First one is to introduce our new public library director.
Mr. Chair, yes, I'd just like to have board members meet Kate. Kate is from the, come on up to the front table here. Kate Caraccio is with us formerly with the City of Worcester. As you know, she took over for Tina Stewart on September 14th, and I just thought it would be great for her to introduce herself to the board and perhaps talk a little bit about herself and what she has in store.
Thank you. Proceed.
Sure. Normally I just talk loosey-goosey to you guys, but tonight I wrote a script. Thought that was probably prudent. Thank you all for inviting me tonight. I've met some of you before, but hello to those I haven't yet. I'm very excited to be here as the new director for the Wilmington Memorial Library. As Mr. Hull mentioned, my name is Kate Caraccio, and I am excited to share with you the work we are doing over at the Wilmington Memorial Library, which does include crushing Tewksbury in the Reading Rivals Challenge. For those of you who have not yet signed on to Reading Rivals and don't get the joke there, each year we participate in a reading challenge with our amazing colleagues over in Tewksbury for most time read by our patrons in minutes. After losing to them last year, we are really hoping to bring the trophy back here to Wilmington. And it is a close race. It wasn't for a while. We've done the work. A bit about me. I started my career as a high school history teacher and pivoted to public libraries as a way to serve and teach people of all ages. I have a master's in library and information science from San Jose State University, and I have worked over the years in libraries in various roles in Chelmsford, Marlborough, Natick, and most recently as deputy director at the Worcester Public Library. I am truly honored to be the library director in Wilmington in a time when information literacy is more important than ever before. And I am excited to share some updates with you this evening, as well as some goals we have over the next few years as our needs continue to increase amidst unprecedented times. What I wouldn't give for some plain old precedented times. We'll get there. Just this past September, we had a ribbon cutting in celebration of the redesign of our first floor, thanks to a grant funded by the Cummings Foundation and other private donations. In this redesign, we added study pods, comfortable seating, and updated our technology. Our goal here was to reignite the space for all to feel welcome, from children and their families, to working professionals, to retired community members, and everybody in between. We want to make sure that our community knows that their library is and has something for everybody. We at the Wilmington Memorial Library know that times are indeed tough, and everyone is feeling the pressure from a global pandemic and rising costs across the board. Within this, the library has worked to ensure equity of access and continues to be free to all. This is why your library card is the most valuable card in your wallet. With your Wilmington Memorial Library MVLC card, you have access to thousands of ebooks and audiobooks that you can download directly to your personal device, anywhere, anytime. You can download the Libby and Hoopla apps, input your library card number, and get started today at no cost to you. Through the library, Wilmington residents can access today's newspaper and magazines online without being stopped by a paywall with Press Reader. You can also stream movies and documentaries right at home with Canopy. You can find research material for a term paper, use Ancestry to learn more about your family history, and most importantly, if you're anything like me, you can check out the new Britney Spears biography as an ebook, download the audiobook, and grab a physical copy at the library. Comes out tomorrow, so if you haven't put your hold on it yet, you should probably get on it. If we don't have what you want, we can usually get it for you through our consortium or our partner libraries, so always just ask us. We also host a lot of programming and events, which are always free and open to the public. We offer something for every age group. We have tech help, story times, STEAM programming, lectures, concerts, book groups, and crafting, to name a few. And I know I've seen a few of you at our program, so thank you for your support. Fostering lifelong learning is core to our values. Our vision for the future of the library will begin with conversations. We are looking to the community to talk to us about what they need and want from their library. I also want to take a moment to address the fact that communities all over the country are being inundated with challenges to the books we as librarians offer. And we are not immune here in Wilmington, but I want you to know that your librarians are ready to defend your intellectual freedom with the help of our dedicated Board of Trustees. One of my favorite parts of being here in Wilmington has been working with this immensely dedicated staff who care so very deeply about the community's needs. We are all here to support information literacy for our residents. In the coming years, we are renewing our commitment to two major priorities in our strategic plan: community and knowledge. We will begin building our next 5-year strategic plan in the next few months, and we'll be looking towards the community to participate in that process. It is a tall order to meet the needs of our vibrant community, but I want you to know we don't do it alone. We have an amazing sister organization in the Friends of the Library. These dedicated volunteers give time, energy, and passion into supporting our programming and services. They run the bookstore next door, a house converted into a bookstore where you can find and purchase thoughtfully curated books in impeccable condition for $1 or $2, all which goes towards funding library services. At the very core, libraries are about access. Access to information, access to technology, access to community, and access for all. Here's my shameless plug. Visit our website, subscribe to our newsletter, and thank you to Mr. Hull and the Select Board for supporting the library and for welcoming me into the community as your library director.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to Wilmington. Are you having ideas of new innovations that you might be looking into create for the library?
Yeah, I think one of our top priorities is investing more in our virtual and digital spaces, and also expanding what we're doing beyond the four walls of our building. We did a lot of work to address our physical space, and the redesign is absolutely beautiful. So if you haven't seen it yet, come on down. We're getting a lot of usage. But we also want to meet people where they are, and that means getting out of the library and going to see them where they're going. And we're still figuring out where that is. I think a lot of the data we had pre-pandemic, we now have to relearn because not all of it's true. We've changed as consumers. And so we're going to be doing the work towards that, looking at our website, looking at how we give information to people, how do we reach out to people so that we can, it's very easy to hear from our users, right? They tell us every day what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. It's really hard to get feedback from non-users, so we have to go find them and ask them.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for being here, and welcome again. It was very nice meeting you back in September, and
Yeah.
appreciate the work that you and your staff are doing, and just wish you well in what I believe is a really great resource for the town. I remember growing up and being there as a kid, and now being lucky enough to bring my 3 daughters there is a real privilege, and I'm obviously very familiar with your Disney princess section currently, but we look forward to helping out with that reading challenge in my household as well. So thank you, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Kate, welcome. I know we've met as well already
Yeah.
a few times, and welcome to the community. And I want to make note or thank the library for the various organizations that you are partnering with. One is the Sons and Daughters of Italy. We do an Italian heritage program throughout the month of October, and we partner with the library. And I know that you have meeting space there that groups use, and that's very important. And I want to thank the library for being so accessible to those groups and organizations. So keep it up.
Great.
That's great.
It's wonderful to have you, and I saw you on Saturday.
Yeah,
I was there with
I
my
was there.
son.
It was-
I wasn't
it was-
working.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Kate, thank you for coming tonight and speaking, and, best of luck. We're looking forward to all you're going to do, and, the library, as we all know, has, it's always been such a great place for all of us. I, too, have taken my boys there from when they were, real young, and it's wonderful, and, I hope it just continues to grow despite what, is happening in the world with technology and everything. I mean, there's nothing like going to a library for, reading groups and all that stuff and getting out a book. So thank you, and we're here to support you, so we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Mr. West?
I will agree with my colleagues. First, welcome to Wilmington, welcome to the library. It's exciting it's an exciting position for you, and I wish you well. I got my first library card back when the library was across the street in what's now known as the 4th of July building.
Oh, right.
And back in the day, if somebody took out the book, the library had to close. So,
Oh, come on.
but,
Dad joke.
the library over the years has put on many presentations on, different matter, and I'd love to see more presentations down there, and I look forward to hearing good and great things from both yourself and the library as a whole, so welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Big thing is have fun, because if you're having fun, everyone around you is.
How can I help it? It's a joy. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the appointment with Joseph Desmond, Police Chief, and Brian Pooper, Deputy Police Chief. Good evening.
Good
First thing I want to do is I want to congratulate you for receiving your accreditation again. I know it's a tough credit to get, and I'm honored to be able to tell everyone now that you did receive this. This is how many?
So this is the 5th time we've been through the process, the original one, and then this is the 4th reaccreditation that we've been through. And we just want to take this opportunity. The assessment happened in May. It's a scheduled 3-day assessment. It's a very daunting task, especially for Lieutenant Dan Murray, who's in charge of our accreditation procedures. And there's about 256 standards that have to be met, which not only have to be met, but we have to prove that we're actually following them. You would think that each year it might get a little easier. It doesn't. This profession, and rightfully so, keeps adding to the amount of standards and, professionalism we need to have for, our police department. So that happened in May, and then we got word officially that we did successfully pass, and on October 4th of this month, we received at a formal ceremony, actually, Jeff was there, that we actually received our plaque and notification that we did successfully do it. So we're very pleased. We just want to come here and mention that to you. As far as people at home are wondering, why isn't it important to be you know, an accredited police department. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the trust of the public. When we have standards, when an outside agency comes in and evaluates what you're doing and says you're doing it okay, or you're doing it the right way, that certainly helps. You know, certainly if we follow whatever the standards, the latest standards in the industry are, it helps with both with liability, you know, not getting sued, the safety of their officers and the public, and overall, we think an accredited police department leads to a safer community. So we're thrilled that we were able to do it again, and 3 more years, we'll try to 6th time.
Again, I want to congratulate you. I know with today's society the way it is, to be able to hold the department in such high esteem that you do and that the town does, it's an impressive feat, and I just want to congratulate you, and proud to have you and your staff and your team to protect and serve us. Thank you. Anyone have anything you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Chief and Deputy Chief. Thank you for being here, and congratulations to you and your department, the men and women of your department. Obviously, it's no surprise to any of us up here that you're receiving this again, and we congratulate you. But I just don't think we can say enough what it symbolizes. It's just a positive and what a great relationship you have with the residents. The department, we're so lucky to have you, not only to keep us safe, but such great community partners. And look no further than the things that you do, from the day at the beach and the annual night out, and on and on and on. There seems to be something going on with your department and the residents partnering together everywhere you turn, and it's just a great thing. We're so lucky to have you and your department here, and we thank you for that.
I don't know if Kevin wants to.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I echo my colleague's comments. She said it perfectly and eloquently, but I too want to congratulate you for the continued success in getting the accreditation, and just that, your presence in the community is important. The communication that you have with the residents is important, and the work that you do cannot be thanked enough for how you go act in and out every single day with the public. Top-notch, professional. We have the best police department in the Commonwealth. I don't care what anybody says. But again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think it's been said, but I agree with my colleagues' statements. I think one of the most important things is that balance and what you do with the community. Obviously, keeping us safe and obviously doing that, but also the communication, the interaction. I think it's really tough, especially in your positions, to have that balance of, authority and being approachable, and you guys definitely have that. I think, our children, our people of the community really respect you as officers of the law, but they also know that they can come to you and talk to you, and you just make yourself so available, and it's just so comforting, I think, to everybody. So job well done again, and I have no doubt in 3 years we'll be congratulating you again. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, I think it's all been said, but I guess I'll just say it in one word: congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's really been all said, but I just want to emphasize that it's probably hard for any of us at this table to really appreciate or fully understand the work that goes into maintaining these standards. These are policies and procedures that not only have to be written up in a book, but executed and embedded in the day-to-day process that police officers go through. So to be able to maintain that rigor year after year and re-up it every 3 years just really speaks volumes for who these gentlemen are as leaders and the people that they work with. So congrats.
I just want to also thank the entire department, and also thank the board and the town manager for the buy-in, because I talk to other chiefs in other communities, and that's not always the case. And the support works 2 ways. And if we get it, then certainly we can accomplish a lot, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Now, a 7:25 appointment with Patrick.
Good evening. I'm here with 3 separate requests tonight. The first one being the Wilmington 4th of July Committee is seeking your permission to allow the 4th of July Committee to hold the annual holiday tree lighting on the town common. We are targeting Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, with no rain date. The festivities will commence at 4 p.m. and continue until 7 p.m. This year's event will look pretty similar to previous year's tree lightings. The event will have horse-drawn hayrides, complimentary cookies and hot chocolate. The cookies are baked fresh from the Shawshene Tech. The Wilmington Tewksbury Chamber of Commerce and many of its member companies will be sponsoring the annual ice sculpture this year. The Minutemen will be escorting Santa Claus, and we also anticipate the high school a cappella group, Soundscape. We also anticipate the fire department to be in the 4th of July building collecting toys and donations for Wilmington children. And finally, the clergy of numerous Wilmington parishes to present some annual Christmas readings. Again, the event is Saturday, December 2nd from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Town Common. And Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I can continue with my other 2 requests, unless you'd like me to pause here.
Nope, be my guest.
Great. Also here tonight, we're starting early with some of our 2024 event planning. As many of you know, the 4th of July Committee undertook a new event this year, which we termed Fall Fest. The event was an overwhelming success. It was at the end of September this year. We had several thousand residents and friends come together for a nice, a nice fall-themed afternoon. And next year, we are hoping to do the same exact thing. So next year, we are looking to continue it as a one-day event on Saturday, September 28th, 2024, with the rain date of Saturday, October 5th, 2024. The event will start a little earlier next year, so we're targeting a 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. event. Next year, we are designing it to be a similar layout in terms of event activities. However, we are looking to have a 5K road race as part of the event. I did submit a application to the town, which I believe you approved at your last meeting, to conduct a road race. But again, the Fall Fest will have food trucks and vendor markets, community meals and craft classes, a family activity tent and inflatable park, the trackless train, a children's costume parade, a petting zoo, a touch-a-truck, bocce and cornhole tournaments, and all-day live music. So my request is to approve the dates, the times, and the location. It'll be on the town common. Of course, we understand that the town hall school administration building will be in full-blown construction mode at this time next year, so the bulk of the activities will be on the town common. However, depending on the municipal parking lots availability, we will have some light programming in there. Of course, at the purview of safety officials, depending on what the construction activity is. But I'd say about 80% of the event will be designed on the common, with some of the ancillary activities occurring on the municipal parking lot. And my final request for you all tonight is the 2024 tree lighting. We are doing a complete redesign of the tree lighting for 2024. It's going to take about 14 months to design and plan. However, we do have a rough sketch as to what it's going to look like. My goal, quite frankly, is to get as many events approved in advance as possible. Many of you know that it takes months, if not a year, to plan some of the events that we do. So if we're able to get the approvals early on, then we'd like to. So the 2024 tree lighting, we are planning for Saturday, December 7th, 2024, rain or shine. The festivities will commence at 12 p.m. and continue until 8 p.m. We are rebranding the event. Like I mentioned, it'll have a similar feel as the current tree lighting. However, in 2024, we anticipate food trucks and a holiday vendor market on the town common, which will feature many community and civic groups participating. We'll be holding wreath craft classes inside the 4th of July headquarters. Believe it or not, we have a contact with the local reindeer farm that will be bringing reindeer down to the common for a reindeer petting zoo. We'll be having characters in a family activity tent and horse-drawn sleigh rides, readings from Wilmington's Council of Churches, performance from local school and musical groups. We'll have the Chamber of Commerce's ice sculpture, hopefully once again. Visits and photos with Santa, and then, of course, the countdown to the much-anticipated light show. So We are anticipating the event, and my request is Saturday, December 7th, 2024, from noon to 8 p.m. Again, it's going to take about 14 months to totally redesign the event, hence the reason for the early request. But that's my 3 requests for you tonight, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. I'd like to take up the annual tree lighting first for this year, for the December
For the
2nd.
board to consider.
I'd like to make a motion on the board to consider for the annual tree lighting for 2023 with the approved dates.
Second?
With discussion? Stipulated on any approvals they need from fire and police, as normal. All those in favor? It's approved. I will take up the, let's see, which one here?
Fall Fest,
What?
Fall Fest for
Third from-
2024.
Yeah.
third from the bottom.
2024, the Fall Festival.
I'll make a motion for the 4th of July committee request to use the Swing Green parking lot in Town Common for 2024 Fall Fest on September 28, 2024, with a rain date of October 5th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion? Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pat. First of all, thank you for being here and for the presentation and for looking so far ahead. I have, still trying to figure out what's going on tomorrow in my schedule, so I can appreciate you doing this. And I know it takes a lot of time and effort, so you and your team, appreciate that. I just wanted to comment, I thought the Fall Fest was outstanding. Very well run, very affordable, and as you mentioned, it was just a great community event. There were, I think you probably have a better idea of number, but I've heard the number 6,000 people thrown out there and
Wow.
by your group, and that doesn't surprise me. And I hope that it will catch on and be something that we can, have a nice, safe community event in the future.
Thank you.
So I wanted to compliment you on that.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Pat, I may look like Santa Claus, but I'm coming to you as the Grinch tonight, because at this point, at this time and point in time, I am not going to be able to support either one of these events. And the reason is because they're breaking ground on March 2024 over there. And I know you mentioned that 80% of it's going to be in the town common and 20% over at the parking lot. But I'd like to hear from the OPM and the general contractor and the chairman of the building committee, and I'd like to see some more detail rather than just telling us 80% here, 20% there, because I'm a little nervous with the construction going on there at this time. We have, there's gonna be a lot of equipment, and I'm not saying that the kids aren't inquisitive or they're mischief or whatever the case may be. Some adults may be too. And I just want to make sure that people are going to be safe. And we've already started telling local groups, the cheerleaders and the Papuanas, that you can't have your car wash there anymore because there's going to be construction vehicles there, and there's going to be fencing, and there's going to be other things. So it's hard for me to approve on such an event that holds 6,000 people, but not approve a car wash that has 20 cars coming through. So I think I need a little more information. I would be okay if you wanted to secure the dates so that no one else gets them, but I'm a little leery about approving the activity at this time at that location. I think that there may be better sites, and we've discussed the Textron property that's going under lease on January 1st of 2024. That's 5 acres of land there, connected with the Yentile facility. That would make a great location for a fall fest or for, a Santa's village of some sort, and even the July 4th festivities. And we've talked about you know, the April field being used as a location to shoot the fireworks off from, and the various parking areas that you could have. So I think it's a little premature for me to vote yes for those two events until I get a little more information. I'm even leery now that you brought up about the road race. I think the road race may be a little different because I've been down there to them, and maybe they can all park over the high school parking lot to stay away from the July 4th parking lot, and you'd run your road race off of the common. That's okay. I don't think we really need to revisit those 3 road races at this point, but that wasn't even on the radar when we said okay to it. But you know, that's the feeling I'm taking. I'm taking a cautious, conservative, and I don't want anybody to get hurt or injured over there until I find out what it's going to be like. And they're going to put shovels in the ground March 2024, so you may have a little leeway with that. So.
Sure, and if I may respond, there is not a single event that our committee conducts that we don't have several meetings in advance with town administration as well as public safety officials. So we are fully aware that every event that we conduct next year will have a different look and feel simply because of the construction. All of these events can be done without the use of the municipal parking lot. To your point about vehicles parking in that parking lot, we didn't have any parking in there for this year's Fall Fest. That was all just activities. So if you'd like to approve the dates just so we can start planning, you know, I'd appreciate that. You know, I can tell you that we have several meetings with town officials and public safety officials weeks and months leading up to all the events. So if they deem the area not safe to have Fall Fest or the tree lighting, then we'll come up with a plan B. It's what we do. You know, we've been planning events for 43 years. We have a great reputation with the town, but, you know, we'll evaluate the construction activity during, you know, this planning time next year, and if we need to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments.
Thank you. Any other?
Just a comment, certainly the fall fair, it sounded like it was a big success, and it seems like a nice new tradition. I did just want to, for the board's information, note that as with these events, while they're certainly nice community events, there is a cost that the town bears for these. In this case, this past year, between the police presence, obviously, for directing traffic and so on, and then Public Works, it was about $6,000. So that, you know, again, it's not to say that this isn't a good event, simply to say that there is a cost for us to have personnel, in the case of DPW, to have the road closures, assist with the road closure, and trash removal. In the case of police, obviously, making sure that folks are able to cross safely from the various locations. So I just wanted to offer that as a point of information.
Any other questions?
So I would, can I amend the board to consider to just approve the date with a place TBD? Would that be?
You need to rescind your first, make sure it's rescind your motion.
Right, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Okay, so I'm going to rescind my initial board to consider and amend it to July 4th committee request to have 2024 Fall Fest on September 28, 2024 with a rain date of October 5th, 2024, location to be determined at a later date.
Or that's
That's my
good.
motion,
Or
yeah.
you could just put for the date September 28th and rain date October 5th, but that's good. Location to be determined.
Yeah. Either way.
Second, all those in favor? Approved. Now I'll ask for a motion for the annual tree lighting on December 7th, 2024. Do I
Okay.
have a motion?
Okay.
In line with
Yeah.
Ms. Maselli's to be determined. The December 8th, December 7th, that we're going to hold the date, but the location to be determined.
So moved.
Well, I don't know, I mean, Mr. Bendel made a motion, I don't know if that was part of his motion.
I'll clarify, thank you, Mr. Kyra. I'll clarify that my motion is to grant the request of the 4th of July committee to use Swain parking lot, and, forgive me, to grant the request of the 4th of July committee for the annual tree lighting on December 4th, December 7th, 2024, I'm having trouble here, thank you, with the location to be determined.
Second.
All those in favor? Approved.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you. And the Fall Fest, when I heard the numbers of 6,000 plus, I couldn't believe it. You had that thing running so smoothly. Congratulations on that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to echo what you just said, because, Patrick, you brought a fresh life into the whole 4th of July town festivities, Fall Fest. As you know, we were there, and look forward to actually having the earlier start for breakfast. So, but great job. It was a great event. The rain held out for that one, seemed like we had a miserable, every Saturday, Sunday it was miserable, and that day the stars were aligned in your favor. So thanks for all you do, by the way. Appreciate it.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
And your boards.
Brett, come on up.
Good evening. Thanks for having me back. Talking to the town manager, we thought it was a good time to give you guys an update on what we've been doing the past few months. So I want to talk about summer. I know the last time I was here, we were talking a lot about lifeguards and how we were desperately searching for them. I'm happy to say we ended up with plenty of guards this summer. We even had a few join us midway through. They waited till they turned 16, and we decided to hire them on. Thought it was a good experience, give them at least a few weeks, and I know they're eager to join us again next summer, so I think it was a good thing that we did. So we ended up with 15 in total, including our beach supervisor, which still not quite at 20 where I'd like to be, but they were a good group. They worked really well together, and we had a great summer. The weather wasn't perfect. I think everybody knows that. We had a lot of rainy days over at the beach, but the ones that were sunny, we had plenty of visitors. And the good news with some rain is that helps the water tests, and they passed each week all summer, which was very, very nice. We've had a couple since I've been here where we've had to shut down the beach, so it was nice having it open all summer. We saw the return of Police Beach Day this year, which was a nice sight to see and enjoyed by many. That was one of our nice days this year in early August, and it was well attended, and thank you to the police department for putting that on once again. Doing the barbecue, and then we had a lot of games on the beach for the kids. And so yeah, overall at the beach it was a great summer, and I am planning on advertising very soon for 2024. It seems like the beach never rests. Concerts on the Common. We had 4 concerts this year, and somehow I wished and we had 4 Wednesdays in a row with great weather.
Oh.
Apparently Wednesday was the day of the summer, not Saturday or Sunday, which everybody knows. But I was very happy with that, and they were well attended each week. And we had food trucks there. We had the ice cream truck and G's Eats, which is our new food truck in town, and I know he got a lot of good business from it. So it was a nice sight to see a lot of people attend. Playground program, we had 270 kids this year. We increased our enrollment by 30 compared to 2022. We increased our staff. We added a couple more high school and college age kids to help out, and can't say enough good things about our staff. We were very fortunate. We had a veteran team. A lot of them have been there 3+ years. A little worried about turnover as they start to graduate college, but that's kind of the nature of the program in itself. And some of you I'm sure have had children attend or might have children attend in the future. It's just such a fun place to be over at the Shawsheen each day when I go visit. You don't know what they're going to be doing, whether it's Foursquare or playing in the gym, arts and crafts, water day. They all try to gang up on me, and soak me on that day. But it's just a lot of fun being over there. And then Tiny Tots and Kids Club program. Happy to say both sessions were full once again, with 216 kids between the 2 sessions. We have another amazing staff over there. The core group of them have been together for over 10 years, which is really a testament to them and the program itself. And they're led by Linda Stillings, who I'm sure many of you have met, and this summer she completed her 42nd summer at the program. She has confirmed she will be coming back for 43, which is very exciting. So we'll begin planning for that as well. We offered a lot of other great programs this summer for the children. We had golf and tennis and basketball, science classes, cooking and baking. We did a reading and writing workshop for the third summer over at the high school. We started that 3 years ago, and I was a little skeptical as how that would do. Third straight year, we were at max capacity, which is awesome. And it's a great program. The kids spend the week reading and writing a little bit as well, and then they put on a play at the end of the week for their parents to attend, which is really nice to see. For adults, have to start with pickleball. I'm sure they're out there right now, our beginner and novice classes tonight on Monday nights, but pickleball continues to be extremely popular. We had golf programs and tennis and yoga and Zumba. So adults also want to recreate, and we continue to see great numbers at all our programs. Now that fall has been underway for over a month, I'll start off. Flag football has a few more weeks. We have 273 kids out there on Saturday nights over at Yentile, which is awesome, in grades 1 through 8. Continues to be an awesome program, and it's a lot of fun being over there and just seeing kids compete, and it's great. Everyone has a chance to be quarterback and play every position on the field, so it's a great way to learn the game at a young age as well. New for this fall, we offered a lacrosse clinic on Sunday evenings over at Yentile as well. Something we partnered, it's our partner through flag football called SNL, and they partnered with UMass Lacrosse, and they had some college players over there with the kids, which is great. And then we also got youth lacrosse in town involved to help out the kids as well. So it was a really nice program from top to bottom. We continued with tennis and golf, and we have archery this fall for kids over at the middle school. We brought back our middle school running program, which continues to get record numbers. This fall we had 60 kids between Tuesday and Wednesdays running after school, which I don't know about you guys, but running isn't my favorite, except for the town manager. I know it's his. But it's really impressive that many kids want to do it, which is great, and hopefully that progresses into the high school numbers as well. For adults, 35-plus basketball returns in the fall, and we continue with tennis and obviously more pickleball. We also held our annual pickleball tournament in late September here at the courts behind Town Hall, which was the same day as the Fall Fest, and luckily the rain held off for us, which was very nice. We have upholstery classes that are ongoing, and yoga and dance classes, and cooking will start soon, so we've got a lot going on. As you know, we do trips as well, and we had several great ones this summer. We went up to Maine to Peaks Island for the first time. It was a new spot for us. We took the ferry over in the morning and explored the island. There's a lot of great history there. It was a really cool day. So something we might look to do again in the future. Lunch and a show continues to be extremely popular, especially with our senior residents. We saw the Texas Tenors in June over at the Danversport Yacht Club. And then we took a trip out to Holyoke, Mass. And saw a Buddy and Elvis tribute show, which was very nice, over at the Log Cabin. Some of you may have been there in the past. It's a great spot. We've done casino trips. We went back to Bally's, which is formerly Twin River, in early September, which was a nice change as opposed to Foxwoods and Mohegan. We have a big population that likes to gamble, so we'll continue to support those people. Everything is recreation. We did the turkey train trip in late September, so we do this every other fall, and that's up to Lake Winnipesaukee. We stop at Moulton's Farm for a nice little visit at the farm stand, and then we take the train around Winnipesaukee for a full turkey dinner, which it's one of my personal favorites, honestly. They carve the turkey right in front of you on the train. It's really nice. And then our longer trip, Northern California, they are currently in the air on their way back right now, and will be landing around 11:30 tonight.
That's great.
And Karen Campbell, former director, went on behalf of the department as the trip leader. And I've talked to her several times this week, and they've had excellent weather and just a great time. They were in San Francisco for 2 nights, Yosemite for 2 nights. They went down to Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Park, and the last stop was in Monterey for 2 nights. So they've had an awesome time. Karen will be checking in with me in a few hours when they land, so I know they're safe and back in Wilmington. And upcoming trips, we're going to see an ABBA tribute show in November back at the Danversport Yacht Club. We'll do a country Christmas show also at Danversport. And then we have an annual New York City day trip in early December. People love going down to New York City for the day to check out the city when it's dressed up for the holidays and do some shopping, which is nice. And we have our first long trip out for 2024, and that's to Mackinac Island in northern Michigan. That trip will include Detroit, a lot of the history with the Henry Ford Museum. They'll go up to Mackinac, and then they'll end the trip in Chicago. So another week-long trip. And then my second one is currently out to bid. And I know my travelers, if they're watching right now, they read the newspaper and they look where the bids go. I never share it, but it is public information. So I know they're excited about where we will be going. And our biggest program that's upcoming is obviously basketball. I checked the numbers right before I came over tonight. We have 409 kids signed up between all different levels from kindergarten through 8th grade, which is great. And we'll be starting that first Saturday in December after Thanksgiving, and we'll be in all the gyms across the town. And it's a lot of fun, starting with our skills and drills clinics. And of course, one of the main reasons I'm here tonight, we have the Horribles Parade this coming weekend. It's going to take place Sunday at 4:30. Right now the weather looks good. Last year was beautiful. I'm hoping for the same this year. Children will gather at the Public Safety Building and parade to the high school with support from the police and fire departments, which we really appreciate. We have prepared for 725 children this year. We had about 650 last year, and we came very close to running out of candy. I thought I was going to get run out of town my first time as director. If you stop by my office, there's a mountain of it in the corner, right now, being well guarded. I would also like to thank Mr. Kyra and the Sons of Italy. We applied for a donation for this event, and they graciously gave us some money to go towards the candy, and that arrived this afternoon. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I'd also like to take this time to invite any of you to attend. If you'd like to volunteer, Greg, you might be bringing your children. But it really is a lot of fun seeing all the kids come through the high school and parade through. Just a really great event to get excited about the holiday 2 days after. And finally, I'll just mention we are working hard on our next newsletter. It will be out in early November, so probably in the next 2 weeks. And that'll include many programs and trips for 2024 and beyond. So I'd also like to just take this time, thank my staff. Brianna and Marilyn were a hardworking team of 3 in our office, and it could not be done without any of us. So I'd really like to thank them for all their hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Recreation Department's usually the department we don't have to worry about because you do so much for everyone, all ages. And how you do it, I don't know. But I just congratulate you every year for what you do. And I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments, gentlemen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brett, thank you very much for the update. Obviously, no surprise, there's a lot of great things going on, and we really appreciate what you do for really, literally everybody in the community. There's an opportunity for every age group, and I know a lot of it's, you think about for the kids, but there's also obviously a great deal, as you just mentioned, for adults as well. So thank you for that, and you're going to be keeping us busy on Saturday mornings this winter, so thank you for that as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brett, thank you for what you and your staff do for the community. The members of the Wilmington Sons of Italy are very happy to make the contribution that they did for the kids. But you mentioned flag football. I know that that's going to be an Olympic sport in 2028.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
it
you're gonna
is. Yes.
have some of those kids
That's right.
involved in there, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to pick on you the way I unfortunately did with Pat and
Sure.
mention about the trips and where you park right now. I believe you park over at the Swain parking lot. I know that maybe you'll make provisions for those trips and park elsewhere. I know that when we had the car show, you were going to park over at the Wildwood if it was a rain date, and I'm sure you'll make provisions for that well ahead of time so that there's no, even though there's fencing and there's, the cars are going to be, there'll be trucks going back and forth, and they probably want clean access, so, in a clear parking lot, so.
Yeah.
just as
The town manager and I, as well as the police and DPW, have had those discussions, and our plan is actually the Wildwood moving forward. Typically we take January, February off for trips just with the weather. So we have had those discussions, and we think the Wildwood is a good location for us. Everyone was in support of that. Since the school isn't currently being used, we can use the parking lot, have the cars parked to the right of the school as you face it from the street, and the police can still monitor all the cars, you know, for overnight trips that are left there, and day trips, it shouldn't be a problem. It's a nice space with the driveway that, you know, circles the building, kind of for our motor coaches to pull in as well.
Mr. Chairman, again, I just want to echo what the others said, and also congratulate and say thank you to your, not only just yourself, your staff, but all the volunteers that helped put this on. I mean, it's amazing just the numbers, the sheer numbers you're talking about, and all the different activities. So there's a plethora of volunteers out there that.
Absolutely.
So give them a hearty thank you from our board as well.
Will do. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Brett, and to your staff as well. It looks like you're just growing and not taking anything away, which is a good thing, but I'm sure that, adds to everybody's plate. But we appreciate it, and I know, my boys were fortunate to participate in a lot of things that you still have going on now, and they loved it, everything from the playground. That was, my husband was out there at 4 a.m. waiting in line, but flag football, everything, basketball, we did all that, and I'm thrilled that it's continuing, and I think that lacrosse program is going to be nuts. You're going to have a lot of good. So thank you, and continue, best of luck with all that. Appreciate it.
And Brett, thank you very much, and look forward to hearing from you again. Have a nice night.
You as well. Thank you.
Now, communications.
First, under communications, Mr. Chair, we have a memo that I prepared with regard to a policy for the public comment period. And so this, in this policy, I first of all should note that in terms of the open meeting law, there is no legal requirement that the public has a right to offer comment at meetings. Certainly when there's public hearings, that is in that instance, comments are a right of those who are participating. Obviously at town meeting, individuals have a right to speak, but for your conventional meeting, so to speak, this has been a practice that has been in place now for a number of years, and there's certainly nothing wrong with having a public comment period. But as a practical matter, these meetings certainly need to be open to the public so that they can observe and listen, but it is not a requirement. But that being said, I think it's appropriate to try to put some guardrails, so to speak, on the public comment process. And by that I mean having some parameters within which the public can offer comment. And so the suggestion in this policy, and there are a number of communities that have policies of a similar type, is that first of all there be a time limit to how long public comment would run. And so in this policy, I'm suggesting that the public comment period be a 30-minute period, and then within that 30-minute period, that individuals who wish to comment have 3 minutes to offer their comment. Once they are concluded, that would be it for them for that given meeting, to give other people an opportunity to speak. And so this is something that I've put forward for the board to consider. Certainly, the board doesn't need to act on it tonight, but I do think that it is something worth considering. Some of the other communities that have these kinds of public policies, Watertown, Wellesley, Pembroke, Falmouth, all have some form of a public policy for public comments. Next, under
Excuse me.
If I may, I just wanted, I know we're gonna take this up later on but I just wanted to make a comment on that I intend to stand opposed to anything that's gonna limit public comment. I think we should rather stick with what we've done for the last several decades, including all my time here, which that the public comments segment of the meeting is at the discretion of the chairman, and that the chairman can decide when it should conclude. So I just wanted to put that out there. I appreciate taking the time to put this together, but I just want to voice my opposition to anything that's going to limit public participation.
Next, under communications, is a memo from me with regard to consideration of establishing a town building repurposing committee to evaluate the possible reuse or disposition of vacated buildings. The chair and I spoke about this over the last week and a half. And as many people know, with the construction of the senior center and a town school administration building, there'll be 4 buildings that will be vacant over the course of the next few years: the current town hall, the Roman House, the senior center, and the former arts center / old town hall. So I think it would probably be advisable to begin the process of determining what's going to happen to those buildings, whether there are viable uses for the buildings, one or more of them. Certainly one of the things to consider, back in 1992, I believe it was, the Historical Commission, through a significant effort on their part, Carolyn Harris was the chair at the time, went through the process of having the village center, which is essentially that area around the common, includes the area where the high school is now, the senior center, the arts center, and so on, designated on the National Register of Historic Places. And part of the supporting factors that went into that were the buildings themselves. Many of them were of historic nature. So I think that needs to be considered amongst other factors when deciding what to do with these buildings. It would be my suggestion that this committee be established by the board, and some of the folks that you may want to include on that committee might be a representative from the Finance Committee, a member of the Select Board, member of the Public Buildings, Historical Commission, and obviously other residents, but perhaps a committee of 7 to 9 people to serve in that role.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank
you. Sorry. If we do form this committee, unless the board has objection, I'd like to volunteer as the Select Board representative.
I for one, was very interested in this. One, any building we have empty, we are still insuring, heating, and the cost goes up with our insurance if the building is empty. Looking at fuel costs today, and what it would cost us to keep buildings open, or not open, but closed, but secure. And if we had decided we don't have a purpose for it, let's discuss what we want to do with it. If we do have a purpose for it, by having a repurposing committee, we can start moving along a little faster with what ideas we may have planned. If the building's suitable to rehab, so to speak, and put something in there. And if it's not, what's the cost? What's it going to cost us for tear down if we decide to tear it down, or if we decide to sell it? There's many avenues we can use, and if we have a committee that can concentrate on it and say, building X, it's been deemed unusable, and this is what we recommend to do, we can act on it a lot faster than stretching everything out over a longer period of time, where we have a committee that will be presenting these things to the board. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask a clarifying question, so what would be the next step in this process? What would you foresee?
Forming a committee and determining the strategy that they want to do, or what parameters they're going to be looking into, which would end up at the end recommending to the select board what they recommend that we do with the buildings that we're concerned with.
So I would imagine there would be a vote whether to form a committee first.
Yes. Yep. And I don't believe
That is not on the.
it's not on here. So this was just early presentation that I would like to see brought up at our next meeting. But the first thing would be to form a committee and then sit down and sort of create a charter and let's go forward. I mean, if the building's serviceable, let's not let it sit there and, you know, become more damaged by being empty. And if it's not serviceable, then we have to make a decision if we're going to tear it down or what we're going to do with it. Is it something that we could possibly sell off? I'm not one to sell off property, town-owned property, but I think it's important for us now, where we know we're going to have 4 buildings at least, and there could be possibly more. Who knows? Why wait a long period of time? But I would recommend that we do at our next meeting vote on the size of the committee and start putting something forward there so that we can start moving forward with these buildings that we're going to have. Thank you.
Next, under communications, is another memo from me with regard to the composition of the town's health and general insurance programs. First of all, I just want to note once again, for the record, that at no time did I, as town manager, direct any employees to get the COVID vaccine, and nor did I direct any of the department heads to convey that to the employees at the risk of losing their jobs. It's unfortunate that that was suggested, but clearly nothing could be further from this truth. As a practical matter, if that had even been put forward, the 6 unions that we have to deal with doing their jobs, representing their employees, they would have certainly filed grievances and unfair labor practices, and none of that happened. So I just want to set the record straight on that. In terms of our health insurance, so the health insurance, starting in the early 90s, the town, in conversations with our insurance advisor at the time, began self-insuring for health insurance. So essentially, some communities, typically smaller communities, will purchase insurance from a Blue Cross or Harvard, whoever they might deal with, and the insurance company assesses a premium, monthly premium, and the town pays that. Typically, it's divided between the employees and the employer. In our case, because of the size of the number of employees we have, it was determined that we could consider the prospect of self-insuring to a certain level. So similar to all of us who own cars or own a home, you have homeowners insurance or car insurance. So you'll have a deductible of some sort, whether it's $1,500 or $2,000 on your auto insurance, and varies on your homeowners insurance. In our case, starting in the early 90s, the deductible at the time was $50,000. So for each individual, whether it's the employee or their dependent or spouse, if they had a medical claim, the town paid the first $50,000 on that claim, and then any costs in excess of that $50,000, this reinsurance carrier picked up the cost. So we paid the reinsurance carrier a premium, as you do on any insurance, and they covered the large so-called shock losses. And it was intended at the time to try to mitigate or lessen the increase in insurance over the course of time. Since that time, 30 plus years ago, obviously the cost of medical care has gone up, premiums have gone up. So based upon, again, further conversations with our advisor, that deductible has increased over the last 30 plus years, and it is currently $175,000, and it's been at that level since 2015. So again, when someone, unfortunately, if they have a cancer diagnosis or whatever, but the town pays the first $175,000, and then the costs in excess of that are borne by the by the reinsurance carrier. And that is a practice that a number of communities, again, larger communities, have adopted. We've done it since the early 90s. And, you know, I think our insurance costs have gone up and down over the years, essentially based upon claims. Interestingly enough, going in through part of the pandemic, our costs were relatively stable and to some measure dropped a bit. And I think the rationale and what we've been, what it appears has been happening, certainly during the pandemic, is that people either were reluctant to go for elective care because of concern of contracting COVID, and in many cases, just because hospitals were maxed out dealing with COVID cases, there wasn't the opportunity for folks to go in for more expensive care. So I think that translated into our costs being somewhat more stable. Things, unfortunately, now, I think with, not that we're beyond COVID, but less problematic, costs are starting to go back up again. But as far as I know, in all the information that we have and that our insurance advisor has provided us, there's absolutely no information that we have to suggest there's any causal connection between people who have had the COVID vaccine and an uptick in our insurance. There's no information that we have that makes that connection. With regard to our other insurance, the town uses the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association. We've used them since 2007. They are the largest insurer of municipalities in the Commonwealth. I think they have something in the order of 400 units, whether it's cities or towns or districts, water districts, and so on. And certainly one of the things that's unique about municipalities as opposed to the private sector are there certain risks that the private sector doesn't have that we have. And so one of the values of contracting with Maya is that they're able to obtain public officials liability insurance, school board officials liability insurance, for example. Those are things that the private sector really doesn't deal with. So we've been dealing with them for a number of years now. The town has been very active with regard to our risk management. There's a so-called Maya Rewards program where Maya continually, every month throughout the year, it provides various trainings, whether it's on law enforcement or chainsaw use or any number of topics. And we have a safety committee that regularly sends this information out, so we have department personnel attending these sessions. And over the last many years, we've received anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 in Maya credits, which essentially is dollars that we can use to offset our cost in the subsequent fiscal year. So, you know, I think that and in fact, we were acknowledged a couple of years ago at a Maya convention for our efforts in loss control prevention. So I think the town has been doing, and it's certainly not me personally, but all the employees throughout who are very conscious of trying to avoid risk. So I think the town has been doing what it can to try to mitigate our insurance costs. Next, under communications, is a joint memo from both me and the superintendent of schools, Glenn Brand, and we have noted that there have been questions raised during our Wildwood School Building Committee meetings, and even some questions raised at recent town meetings about what the town's long-term plan is with respect to all the schools, all the elementary schools. So clearly the focus right now is on dealing with the Wildwood School. Obviously we have the MSBA financial assistance, and we're focused on addressing that, but other members of the community on the west side of town want to have an understanding of what's happening with the schools on their side of town. certainly the schools, the Boutwell, the West Intermediate, and the Shawshene are of similar age. The Shawshene is the newest of the schools, and that was built in 1970. So the intent was to convene a group of folks to begin some discussions about what the town should be doing, initial steps anyways, to look at the longer-term game plan. So we had a meeting recently with David Ragsdale, the chair of the school committee. Chair DePalma was present, John Doherty from the finance committee, chair of the finance committee, George Hooper and Paul Ruggiero. And the plan that has been proposed is to have a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen, or Select Board, School Committee, and the Finance Committee to begin to map out what steps can be taken kind of in parallel to the work on the Wildwood School to be more ready for the next phase once whatever the Wildwood turns out to be is completed. And there's some dates here that have been put out as possible meeting dates, Monday, November 6th, Tuesday, November 7th, or December 11th, Monday, December 11th. So that is something that I'm sure will take some time, and this committee, I would expect, would be meeting over the course of the next probably year or two.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, thanks. So just a point of clarification, I think on the third option there, Monday, December 11th, correct me if I'm wrong, but that back in this September, we voted to have, we're gonna have our board meeting then, so
Yes.
Right.
we're down to two options then, or unless this is gonna be amended to 6 to 7 p.m.
That's right.
Mr. Chair, I'm not a big, just some commentary, I'm not a big fan of west side, east side, north side, south side. I mean, we're all one community, and we have potential of a new elementary school at the Wildwood, and it's going through the MSBA project program, and that, we should be concentrating on that. We have two other projects, the Town Hall, School Administration Building, the Senior Center, and we should be focused on those as well. We have a facilities master plan. Here it says they want to know what the next steps are and what we should do and where we should go and how we should approach it. The town spent some substantial funds and came up with a facilities master plan. And it showed and it outlined how we would be approaching these schools. So I don't understand why we would want to spend upwards to, from what I heard, $100,000 on another facilities plan when we already have one in place. Granted, it was done, I believe, in 2017, but it's still viable. So it doesn't really make a heck of a lot of sense to be spending that type of money on a project that's not going to possibly take place for another 3-4 years, when by then, that it's going to be outdated. So, and then to have in here a pathway to build a new school without the MSBA funding is a big undertaking of ask for the taxpayers of the community. So I appreciate this group getting together and talking, and they're wanting to be a joint meeting, but we have a plan in place already. We've done a feasibility study. We have 3 projects going, and we keep ad nauseum talking about a substation, and we just cannot, forget about that in the whole scope of this. I get it. We need to update our schools, and we're taking those steps with the Wildwood. And I just, I think we have a plan in place, and we've been going by that plan, and I don't see why we need to spend more money on another plan. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you. I will say that sitting here at this meeting that I did attend, it was interesting it's a talk about, this is what we're gonna have to do. Why not look? It's not gonna cost us anything right now. We're talking about how we're going to move forward. And you say that, we're a town, we're not west side, east side, we're not. But right now, we're building a school at the Wildwood. There are other schools that we have to start looking at. I'm not expecting anything to come out of this as long as I'm sitting up here. And I'd probably be dead and buried before anything is done. But why not at least move forward with it? We have a plan. Wildwood was on that plan, but Wildwood had an issue. We had the oil spill up there, and now we had to move that project along even faster than we wanted to. As far as concerned with not going through the MSBA, well, again, what we have to look at, which other towns and cities are looking at, is it's a 7-year program, minimum, to get a school built through the MSBA. What they're going to be willing to offer us in financial assistance, is it enough to justify, and I'm not talking for next year, but I'm talking when we sit down and talk about another school seriously. Will it justify going through them and waiting the 7 years, or will the cost of living cause us more hardship by waiting the 7 years? The percentage that they want to give us, will it be worth the wait? And right now, it's conversations on what we have to do. We've got the master plan, we've got this. Things change. And if we can sort of move forward with just ideas, it doesn't hurt. This way, when the time comes for the town to sit down and say, we're going to need another school. Well, we've already been looking at it in terms of which schools would survive, which school wouldn't survive, this is nothing to. We're not going to announce that we're ready to build a new school, because believe me, we're not. We don't have the money to. Let's face it. But we also have to look in the future to see what we're going to have to deal with in the future. I support this just for the idea that we are discussing it, and that's all. There's no recommendations of funding, or we haven't even built the Wildwood yet. The shovels aren't in the ground in the Wildwood yet. We don't really know what the Wildwood's going to look like yet. But why wait until you have to assert yourself even more, because we're so far behind. The Wildwood School should have been done years ago. But what happened to the Wildwood that made us move forward now was no fault of the towns. It's no fault of anybody's. It was an oil spill. Simple as that. But we had to change our direction. Let's just look at it. Let's get a conversation going. Let's have residents say, gee, if you're going to build one, my kids, number one, I don't believe anything that we discuss for another school, anyone in here, their children will go to. I mean, that's how far out we're going to be with it. But let's start a little discussion with it. What's the discussion here? What's it come to that you sit there and say, well, right now, yeah, we could probably put it here, or maybe put an addition on a school. Who knows? But get the discussion moving. Thank you.
All right, next we have a memo from Jamie McGaldy, the Public Works Director, with regard to grant funding that was received $75,000 for athletic field improvements. So the focus on that has been working with National Development. They are the firm that owns the property where the tennis courts and ball fields are on Lowell Street. The town entered into a 99-year lease with National Development. We've been in touch with, Jamie and his crew have been in touch with representatives from National Development about essentially testing the soils out there. We have a firm that we use for all of our ball fields, Tom Irwin Advisors. They are actually take samples of the soil, figure out what the circumstances are there, how to treat the soil, nurture it so that it comes back in a stronger way, what essentially needs to be done to bring the fields back to a playable condition. So approximately $31,000 is going to be used to pay for this effort to assess the fields, and then the balance of $44,000 roughly will be used as a part of what will likely be the cost to do whatever is necessary to get the fields into a playing condition. Next, we have a memo from the police chief, Joe Desmond. He essentially writes to just confirm what I said previously, which was that there is no truth to the suggestion that any employee, certainly in the police department, was required to obtain a COVID vaccine at the risk of being terminated. We have a similar memo from the fire chief, Bill Kavanaugh, essentially making the same point that at no time was any firefighter directed to have a COVID vaccine at the risk of being terminated. We also have, under communication, an information piece from the Environmental Protection Agency noting that there is going to be a public forum on November 1st. This is going to take place from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Wilmington Middle School, 25 Carter Lane. And the purpose of this is to update residents on where things stand with Olin, particularly in light of the recent court decree that was issued. So folks are encouraged to attend. Charlotte Gray is EPA's Community Involvement Coordinator, and she will be one of the folks attending that evening. Under Board to Consider, the first item on the docket is the consideration of a policy with respect to public comments.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion, we take no action.
Second.
All those in favor?
Mr. Chair, through the town manager, Jeff, the November 1st Olin meeting is also a town hall school administration meeting. So I may not be able to make that Olin meeting, just due to my obligations to the school committee and to the town hall. So
Right.
I didn't know if you knew that there was a conflict there.
Next under Board to Consider is ratification of the appointment of Dennis Kelly to the Permanent Building Committee. So as you know, we have a 5-person Permanent Building Committee. Mr. Kelly was appointed to essentially replace George Hooper when George retires as the Superintendent of Public Buildings. So it, in my estimation, made sense to appoint him to the Permanent Building Committee, since historically the Superintendent of Buildings serves as a member of the Permanent Building Committee, and for quite some time now has chaired that committee. So I would be asking for ratification of that appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we ratify the appointment of Dennis Kelly to the Permanent Building Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Is it just a question, the term to expire, is that the correct date?
No, it actually should be April of '25, April 30th of '25.
So to approve the ratification of Mr. Kelly with the amendment of the term to expire on April 30th of 2025.
October 30th.
No,
April.
it should be April 30th.
April 30th.
It's, yeah, there was a mistake in the letter, but it should be April 30th. All appointments and reappointments are taken up in April.
And I'll amend my motion to the April 30th date.
So
Second.
moved. All those in favor? Approved.
Next under board to consider is establishing the date for the town manager's budget presentation as Monday, January 29th. This was noted at a prior meeting where I outlined the schedule. The board has two meetings in January, and in this case, the second meeting is the 22nd. Oftentimes in the past, the budget has been presented as a separate standalone meeting. In this instance, if the board was to choose the 29th, it will give the temporary town manager and the finance director and others a bit more time in terms of finalizing the budget process, and I would recommend that as the budget presentation date. As long as it's 90 days prior to the annual town meeting, you're compliant with the Town Managers Act.
I have a motion.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor? So moved.
This next item, there was a lot of discussion going on last week. There was a subcommittee that met with Lou Semaglia to talk about the terms of the temporary town manager position, and this was posted as a board to consider his appointment. You'll recall the board actually made the appointment on your meeting of the 10th of October, contingent upon successful completion of those negotiations based upon the meeting that took place last Thursday, I believe it was. This can be passed over.
Motion that we pass over the board to consider appointment of Lou Semaglia, already been appointed at the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
The next item is also a board to consider the approval of the terms and conditions of employment of Louis Semaglia IV as temporary town manager effective November 1, 2023. Again, when this agenda was prepared, the meeting with Mr. Semaglia had not taken place, so it was not clear exactly what the outcome would be there. But as I noted, there was successful discussions. And so the plan at this point is that the board will have a special session to meet on the 30th of October. Right now, Town Council is preparing an employment contract, and that is slated to be prepared before the end of the week. It will be exchanged provided to the board to review, and certainly Mr. Semaglia. And so the expectation is that there's no need to take this up this evening, that the board would take it up on your meeting of the 30th.
Make a motion to table until Monday, October 30th.
Second. All those in favor?
The next is a board to consider authorization of the Wilmington Little League, Little League Parade for Saturday, April 29th, 2025, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. You'll recall this is part of the process that we've gone through with some of these events that require overtime, just trying to give the departments that are impacted a heads up in terms of their budget. So the police department clearly is one of those that will be impacted. So this is just helpful for them when they're preparing their fiscal '25 budget.
Move to grant the request?
May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Again, my same concern. It's 2025. I don't know if the Town Hall and School Administration building will be completed at that time. So I think we should do as we have done with the July 4th committee, that we hold the date and to be announced. I don't really see it as much of a problem as the other, because they could probably park at the high school and gather over at the common and walk from that side, rather than parking at the Swain parking lot. So, I don't have a problem approving it, as long as it's noted that parking should be designated to the high school side. Again, the building could be up and running then, who knows? So,
Do I have a second? Oh, that was a second, excuse me. All those in favor?
Next, the next three board to considers have already been addressed previously. The final board to consider is an agreement for special counsel with Ellen M. Hutchinson for the purpose of representing the Board of Assessors regarding a property tax matter regarding Reading Municipal Light Department. You'll recall this came up at a prior meeting because KP Law also has Reading Municipal Light as a client. We needed to identify alternative counsel just for this purpose. So it would be my recommendation that the board authorize the contract with Ms. Hutchinson, Attorney Hutchinson.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second with discussion?
Second.
Anyone have any discussion? I want to make sure. All those in favor? Approved. Now we're into public comments. As I stated earlier in the meeting, we're going to be asking for each individual who wants to speak. We'll allow you 3 minutes for a total of 30 minutes in comments. Okay,
So we got a stopwatch.
first speaker?
Yeah, me. What do we got, a stopwatch? I thought, all right. I applaud the effort. I'm going to take a few seconds here. I've given 33 years of my life. I do applaud the efforts of Mr. Bendel stating I think you should give more than 3 minutes. And I thought the board took that vote to not to, to allow people speak. Not for nothing, they talk about decades ago, implementing public comments. You know who implemented public comments decades ago? When I was chairman. I wanted folks to be able to come to the selectmen's meeting, and the chairman has discretion to, eject somebody, whatever, so he gets the flow. But that being said, I need to say it. I would hope to think I get my 35 seconds, 5 seconds for each year I served, I guess, or each decade. The reason why I came here this evening, I just wanted to talk about the American Rescue Act, all right? It's no secret, I decided to reopen up the restaurant, and then I never knew that this monies were available until I read about it into the Apple. So I went like warp speed to go fill out the application, and before I got it in, I showed it to my lawyer. And I showed it to my lawyer, and I said, what do you think of this? He goes, Mike, you qualify for this. Absolutely, you qualify. Okay, he goes, I would submit it. He goes, and then I would give the town manager a call to see his thoughts on it, which I did. So I just want, folks to know that. So what I did was I gave the town manager a call. After I submitted it, my counsel said, you should get it with no problem. And I asked Jeff, I go, is there anything out of line? Is it okay? Is there anything I need to do? And he said, you don't qualify for it. And I go, why you don't qualify? He goes, well, you're not open for business. Then I took the first application that he submitted, and it states right here, commercial business and storefronts must be visible from the street and must be open to the general public. When I open, I will be open to the general public. Well, COVID-19 didn't affect you. I go, it absolutely affect me. And on the first application, it says applicants must have commercial property owners or commercial tenants in the town of Wilmington who have been impacted by COVID-19. I said, my tenants were still in business for 3.5 months after March 10, 2020, Charlie Baker's moratorium. I've had to foot the bill on everything. It absolutely devastated me financially, and I'm still paying, as of today, almost $60,000 in property tax. All right, so fine. He said, but he did say, but listen, there's going to be another round come October. I suggest you apply. And I thought that was a, good token. So I came to a meeting. I said, hey, Mr. Manager, if you could maybe incorporate a building that's vacant or whatever. And my attorney said, why'd you even say that? He goes, you qualified for it. You absolutely qualified for it. So I go to a conservation hearing, and they say to me, and they handed me a packet. So I'm looking at it. It was given to me by the secretary, and I'm looking at it. I go, what is this? He goes, oh, talk to Jane if you need to do that. So the bottom line is this, and I just have to say to you, Mr. Manager, if I could, I've done everything, and I just like to know, you inserted one word in the second application, and I couldn't believe what I read. I only picked it up the other day, and I got to ask you, Jeff, you inserted that one word currently
Your
in
time
the
is
new
almost up, sir.
application. And I just need to know, why would you do that?
Okay. Time's up.
What?
Your time's up.
I'm not going anywhere right now. I need to get an answer to that question I asked. Why did you, Mr. Town Manager, insert the word current in the new application? By doing so, that completely croaked me from going to fill out this new application. My attorney even advised me not to even fill out the new. Why? You changed that second application by adding that one word. You must be currently in operation. Why did you insert that one word? Can you please explain that to me?
Mr. McCoy, they will take it under
Well,
advisement.
let me tell you this. He's
And-
not answering it. It was 2 minutes and 58 seconds. I asked that question. He didn't respond. And that tells me one thing. I did qualify for that first round. And I really thought we'd put politics aside, Mr. I want an answer from him. I asked that at 2 minutes and 58 seconds. I looked at it. And I spent 30 seconds talking about the history, and I agree with Mr. Bendel. Jeff, I'm asking you again. Why did you,
Your
Mr.
time
Chairman,
is
I
up,
deserve
sir.
that answer, and I did it at 2 minutes and
time
58
is
seconds.
up. They
I'm not
will-
leaving here right now.
Sir.
I'm not,
Chair,
I'm just telling you,
Can I ask
just
Mr.
answer the
McCoy-
question.
Can I ask Mr. McCoy a question?
Please, yes.
When did it change, Mike, from the old application to the new? Do you know what that?
I appreciate it, Mr. Carrot. In fact, I have the second application right here, and it says verbatim, identical to the first one. It says, commercial businesses and storefronts must be visible from the street and must, here's the one word, currently be open to the general public. The word currently did not exist in the first application. And I thought you extended a nice olive branch, and I said to my lawyer, nah, I'm gonna go with the flow, I'll fill it out again. And then when I opened it up the other day, I couldn't believe what I read. Currently. I appreciate that, Mr. Kyra. And then up above it, he changed it around from saying on the first applicant, applicants must have commercial property owners or commercial tenants in the
Mr.
town of
McCoy.
Wilmington who's been affected. He turned that around and
will-
said applicants
Mr.
and the
McCoy,
commercial
we will
tenants,
look into it,
commercial
sir.
property owners
Your
associated
time
with
is
current
up,
business.
Mr. McCoy. We will look into it.
You're not. What are you going to look into it? You're not going to look into anything. I want an answer from
Whoa.
him before I go.
Mr. McCoy.
Jeff, why did you put that word, you must be current? Why did you put that one word? That one word devastates that whole application. I cannot even apply for that because I'll get shot in the water. My attorney said, don't even do that. You had grounds on the first one.
Mr.
Wait a
Chair.
second. Can I get an answer
No,
from somebody,
Mr. Chair,
please?
To the town manager, do you know when that
As
application
I
was
have stated,
revised?
as I have stated multiple times to the board, public comments is a time to hear public comments. It is not, and this is on the advice of town council, it is not a place for us to respond. If the intent is to direct a department or department head to follow up at a later time, but this is not a two-way forum. The intent is to hear public comments from individuals and take the comments under advisement. I've stated that multiple times, and I do not intend to take any other action tonight.
When I created this, I'm going to say something. I'm
Mr.
sorry. I
Chair,
apologize. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would like the town manager to get that answer for us for the October
Okay.
30th meeting, please,
Just gonna
as
ask
to
that.
when the application changed its language.
Can I ask a question? So you have another meeting? Because I know he's
Absolutely.
leaving November 1st, okay? When, you have another selectmen's meeting and he's still going to be here at the next meeting?
He's employed until October
October
31st.
All right,
as
now,
far as I'm
I'd
concerned,
appreciate-
Mr.
first of all,
McCoy, he
I
should
wanna
be
play by
answering
the
questions. Mr. McCoy,
sorry.
let me interject. If he answered the question last week, 2 weeks ago, with the word no, rather than taking the same approach, we wouldn't have been in the situation that we were in these past 2 weeks.
Say that again. I didn't even, I'm just like a little bothered. Say that again, please.
What I said was, if he had answered the question that was posed to him about vaccines and mandates and terminations to the word no, then we would not have, Ms. Maselli would not today be in a situation that she's in today.
All right, then through you, I appreciate that, Mr. Kara. I would love to get on the agenda to talk about it. I'd
That's
like to
just
get
what-
an answer from the town manager,
We'll respond at our next meeting.
and I want the opportunity to discuss that under public comments. Is that the understanding?
That would be.
That's the
Once you
understanding.
receive your notification, yes.
All right,
If you
fine.
have
So I-
concerns with it, we'd be more
All
than
right, I'll
happy.
be here. I'm sorry it took over the 3 minutes, but I appreciate that. I'll definitely be here. I would like to answer that question. Now that I know I'm on the time
will
clock.
have an answer.
Is it right? That's all I'm asking. What was the difference in?
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. We will have an answer.
Hello.
No, don't forget it.
Well, 3 minutes really is kind of out of the door now. So my name is Corey Spalding.
Just
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank
State
you
your
very
name,
much.
please, and your
My name
address.
is Corey Spalding. And I am an accidental whistleblower. I inadvertently stumbled upon some fraud in my hometown of Framingham back in 2010. The school committee had an $8 million budget deficit, so they retaliated and they excluded my daughter, illegally excluded her. She had to go to the Natick schools where where her dad lives, and I inadvertently stumbled again upon some fraud. There was embezzlement of over $20 million. They abused my child, retaliated against her, and abused her to the point that she's now fully disabled. And she was I won't even get into it. My daughter ended up having to go to a private school where she flourished. But we went back. She wanted to go back and speak before the school committee. And they got up and walked out on us, January 8th, 2018. And they, it's my turn.
Excuse me just one second.
Yes.
To the point of why you are here.
Yes.
Please.
Right. So because the school committee walked out and it resulted in an ACLU lawsuit, Spalding versus Natick, and the Superior Court said, you can't walk out on people. You can't even interrupt somebody who is speaking during public comment. It's not a time for debate. So as you know, I have emailed Mr. Hull. Mr. Hull is a very poor reporter of the factual truth. He is not an elected official like the rest of you who are under the purview, jurisdiction of the FBI for municipal malfeasance, for civil rights violations, and I am asking, I exposed some fraud going on here in the Wilmington schools. They cannot account for the federal and state grants. You talk about your insurance, everything comes down to risk. And I'm surprised at your behavior on October 10th, and I'm surprised that tonight you didn't address the fact that the SJC was very, very specific in how public comment is supposed to be allowed. I am asking for the fraud that I've exposed, the civil rights violations, my communications. I first started communicating with Mr. Hull August, again asked to be put on the agenda, again in September. So I am asking that this matter be placed on an upcoming agenda so that I can provide the people of Wilmington. I'm very concerned for the children that have been abused, talk about the involvement, why the DA didn't support it, go into your risk management, civil rights, put it on the agenda, invite the school committee, save me a trip from going back to them. You were kind enough to tell me who your lawyer is, and I've actually showed you what you should be doing for public comment, and your attorney noted both Spalding versus Natick as well as Barron versus Calenda. Okay, so your public comment, you should have a policy, and you should abide by it, and it should be in compliance with the law. I'm asking again that this matter be placed on an agenda for a discussion so I can provide the factual evidence of the fraud and the risks of insurance and the civil rights violations.
I would defer all of this right now to our legal counsel,
I'll be in touch with them as well.
and we'll go from there. I have stated earlier, what I was trying to do is keep it in control. 3 minute, I know 3 minutes doesn't sound like a lot.
I can
But-
appreciate that, but you don't have to have public comment, but if you do, you can't say, well, this person can, and if you're short, you can't, so with all due respect.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And Thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did the board vote on the time limit? Or was that?
That's the discretion of the chair, sir, and I am trying to hold as close as I can to it.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. This here is a picture of the oil spill at the Wilmington High School property. And I have a question. I don't want you to answer it and take up my time, but is the oil spreading into the Ipswich River? This is the oil spill. The Ipswich River's over here. The underground water flows this way through the oil spilled area into the Ipswich River. So my question is, we have a monitoring well on the property, and I'd like to have the board address the question as to whether or not the contamination is flowing toward the Ipswich River, which is a tributary to downstream communities. In addition to that, there has been a study by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health that showed that it was about the Wilmington childhood cancer, and they showed that the chemicals emanated from the Olin site. And I feel as though there's been no justice for Wilmington, Mr. De Palma. And so my question to you is, they're trying to develop the Olin site, and it's the former town manager and a former selectman that are involved in it. And I just feel as though they should have been pushing for the justice for Wilmington, for the people who were impacted by cancer. So my question to you, Mr. Chairman, and please don't take my time and answer it, but would you be willing to have an agenda on the next meeting to discuss strategies relative to halting that project so that there could be an investigation to see if we can detect if there are former employees that were directed to dump chemicals into the lagoons, which got into our water well field. In addition to that, there have been 200 monitoring wells drilled. So if you can picture a contaminated area spreading out from a site, and 200 wells being punctured into the ground to enable that plume, that contaminated plume, to get into those boreholes, then to get down into the aquifer and go to the Maple Meadowbrook well field and go undetected for some time. It went undetected for a long time. As a matter of fact, the people that we pay, who were supposed to be monitoring the contamination in our water, weren't the ones who discovered it. It was a group of ladies who discovered that NDMA was in our water, and it was a cancer-causing compound. So I think that would be something that you would be wise served to put on an agenda item. And the last
Mr.
meeting...
McDonald, not to take up your time, but the only thing I can tell you with this is I would contact the proper departments.
That's why I'm here.
To see where they are, what they see in those.
I'm at the proper department. You people are the Board of Selectmen. You people take votes on various things to have legal strategies or represent the people on matters such as somebody losing a child to cancer or other members of their family to cancer. So if I were you, I would have an agenda item. I would even have a form, and I would invite people. I'd even advertise it in the paper. I'd even have a reverse 911 call to notify people that we are looking at a strategy to get justice for the people of Wilmington as a result of the cancer-causing compound that emanated from this site,
Thank you,
as
Mr.
per the
McDonald.
finding of the Department of Public Health. And I did want to thank the
you very
manager.
much, but again, like I said, it would be something that we would have to contact the proper departments to find out what have statements from them on what they have found there. Other than that, I'm not an expert on this. I say this with no disrespect. You're not neither. But I know there's a lot of reading and research, and I do appreciate it from you, but the only thing I can say right now is that we would ask the department heads that would be looking into this to
So,
respond.
with all due respect, Mr. Chairman,
Not an agenda item.
are you aware that the department that you mentioned, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, it's a department that put out a study, an extensive study. Have you read that?
I have.
You have.
Of
So
course I have.
so you are aware of that study stating that the childhood cancer came from this site? Because it's very
Mr.
clearly spelled out in that
Again,
childhood
Mr.
cancer study.
McDonald,
Are you aware of it? I'm
refer-
just asking you that.
I refer everything over to the proper departments.
Who would that be? Who would be the who would be the proper
I'm not gonna get into it right now with you, Mr. McDonald, but we will present it to the right authorities.
and you know who
Ask them to respond to what you've just said.
in terms of getting justice for people of Wilmington? Because the people,
What you're saying, Mr. McDonald.
the entity,
Mr.
sir.
McDonald, just for what you're saying, we will have departments look into it, and we'll move on from there.
Okay, lastly, the previous meeting, I asked for an analysis for the town's insurance. I appreciate Mr. Hull correcting me. I thought the deductible was $150,000, but it has gone up $25,000, so it's $175,000 now. So I asked to see if the board would have an agenda item so we can have a proper analysis showing how much we've had to pay for employee health events and how much if we've ever even got any money from the stop-loss insurance. And by the way, Mr. Hull, can you tell us who your insurance advisor is?
As I've stated multiple times, and I will continue to state until I'm gone, and perhaps the next town manager will take a different approach, public comments is for public comments.
Mhm. If I was asked to do a benediction tonight, my prayer to God would be that there would be no other community in the United States of America who would be subjected to the level of incompetence in the managerial position that the town of Wilmington has been subjected to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. McDonald.
Mr. Chairman, why was I singled out a big clock, 3 minutes, and the other two speakers, no time clock, they went over 3 minutes?
Because you went up, because I was starting with that,
All right, what you said, thank you. Why was I singled out with that time clock? No one
and then I let you go on and on and on, sir.
else? No, I couldn't, I wanted to go on more and more.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Paul Shalafo, 48 Hopkins Street. With regard to the agenda item, the repurposing of public buildings, I would like to be considered for that committee. I have a little bit of previous experience with strategic planning. I was on the Library Strategic Planning Committee a few years back, and I was actually on the Historical Commission's Building Repurposing Subcommittee before I resigned. I resigned for different reasons, because the previous curator vacated her position, and I thought that the extra work was not going to be something I was going to be able to commit to, in addition to being on that subcommittee. But having a singular effort like this, I think that I could help out with that. So at the time, is it going to be on your next agenda?
I don't believe it's going to be on our next agenda. I
It-
think
you
I
do-
will be on the agenda eventually.
It will be
You
on,
can call for action.
We called to have it on the next agenda
Oh,
to
ne-
vote
oh, it
to
is.
have the committee.
I
to form the
apologize.
committee.
Okay,
Clear,
so
you're
we'll,
just to be clear, so there's two upcoming meetings. The meeting of October 30th is, as I understood it, specifically for one purpose. The
Right.
meeting of November 13th,
Would be a full meeting,
yes.
yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll wait till the gentleman's done to make my comment.
it is on an upcoming,
Yes, sir.
okay, all right. And will appointments be being made at that time? Will nominations be being done at that time? Can you
I-
anticipate that?
I anticipate nominations.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very
And
much.
you will be, your name will, yeah, thank you.
No, I just want to, no, that's okay. Lou Somaglia, the Director of Veteran Services, it's out there on the Wilmington Apple and other places that the Veterans Day ceremony is gonna be on Friday, September 11th. It's actually gonna be on Saturday, November 11th. I'm sorry, September. It's always on the 11th day, 11th month, 11th hour. So I just wanna get it out there to the world that it's the Saturday, November 11th.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just for, Mr. McCoy, just for clarification, is his item going to be on the October 30th meeting or the November meeting? Because the October 30th is just supposed to be a special meeting.
October 30th is just a special meeting.
Because we did say to Mr. McCoy that it was going to be on the 30th.
The 30th, Mr. Town Manager be here. I appreciate that. I need an answer from him.
Chairman, I would,
Appreciate, Mr. Carr, you bringing that up. You made a commitment on the 30th, Mr.
It was inadvertently incorrect, because the 30th is a specific meeting, and then we go into the 13th, I believe it is?
November 13th is your
November
regular
13th
meeting.
Is the regular meeting. And that's the meeting that,
That's hard. I'm gonna say something now. That's pretty horrible. I'm asking him one question. I've given 33 years of my life. I've spent 5 times that amount of money, 25 donating, and I hope you did turn up the volume to this community. I appreciate, Mr. Carr, you bringing that up. I know you meant that in the 30th. You know, I'll ask him again for you, Mr. Chairman. How come you changed that one word? By doing that, you assassinate my opportunity to go for that grant. And my lawyer said, do not fill that out. You definitely, by you doing that, that proved the fact that I did deserve that grant, and you, for whatever reason, you chose not to do that. Hey, I know you're not crazy about me, so be it. You know, but the bottom line is, you used your position to make sure I didn't get that money. You changed that application. One word, I can't even apply for it. Advise not to apply for it. And I appreciate it, Mr. Carr, for you saying that. I would really love to be on that agenda, because I still want to hear from you, Mr. Town Manager, why you inserted one word. By you doing that, I don't even stand a chance on that grant money. And I deserved it more than anybody out there. That restaurant's been going closed 4 years because of that moratorium. To say I never was affected, are you serious? I've given the community $63,000 in property tax because that place has been closed. I've done that. You know something, I appreciate it. You know, I understand, you know, when you get a full-time job, you work part-time, you got a lot of hours. I get that. But I would love to be on that meeting. I deserve an answer. And the answer is, you know I qualify for that, and you made sure I didn't by inserting that one word.
Mr. Chair.
yes, sir.
Shame on you, and good luck in your retirement. I want to be here, and I want that answer from him.
Mr. Chairman, I
I'll
just,
be here the 30th. I'm sorry, Mr. Bendel, but you can understand. I
just want to
you
circle
gave me that
back.
opportunity. Well, Mike, there's going to be another round in October. I felt great about that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, but, you know, put yourself in my position, my family's position financially. I gotta come out of retirement to go back to the restaurant. Happy to do it. It's sad.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman. I just want to circle back to what I think is an important position that I took earlier, in that when we try to implement a policy like tonight, you can see what happened. We have some questions being answered and others are not. So I can recognize that the gentleman is frustrated when he has witnessed other questions being answered and some not. So we may not have the answer, and in the past, in my short time here, we've answered some questions that we had the answer to, and sometimes we don't have the answer, and that includes me. And I know it's not an easy position to sit there in that chair. I did it for nearly a year and a half. And sometimes we have the answer, and sometimes we don't. And I think if we have the answer, we ought to be forthcoming with it. If we don't, we don't. You know, so it's unfortunate we found ourselves in this position here this evening, but as I mentioned earlier, I think we ought to stick with the policy of the past, and that's worked for decades, is that if someone has a reasonable question and it takes them 3 minutes and 2 seconds to spit it out, we ought to do the best we can to try to help them. If we can't, we're human and we gotta do the best we can, but
Yep.
if we can, we ought to. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you have the ability to put this guy on the agenda next meeting, and for you to not do that is a clear example of incompetence. You know.
No, it's
that
not, sir. We're having a
restaurants-
special meet.
If
No, no.
hundreds of restaurants go out of
Don't,
business
please
in
don't.
this state,
Let's
and
keep
for
it
you to
toned
watch a
down.
local guy go out of business, and when you can put him on the meeting, that's incompetence. That's all I have to say about that.
Mr. Chair, you do set the agenda, and how you set it, it's going to be your call in regards to whether you're going to put Mr. McCoy on the agenda for answering the question. But if that does not happen, I would like to ask that a memorandum from the town manager before he leaves on the 31st be written as an explanation to Mr. McCoy's question, so that at least we'll have it on the record under communications.
I-
Mr. Carr, I'm gonna say something,
It's-
and I'm gonna say it one time, and that's it. As chairman, you set the tone, you can object, you can allow people to do, you set the agenda, you set the tone. But I serve there, and if the majority of the board take a vote, we have no choice but to hear it. I appreciate that. I would love for this board right now to take a vote to allow me public comment at that time and an answer on the 31st. I appreciate it on the 30th. I would love for a member to make a motion, get a second, at least get 3 votes. I would like to get a unanimous, at least 4 out of them, at least 3 votes for me to appear. I would appreciate it very much if somebody make that motion, because it's been done in the past. I've served on this board for 30 years. I know how things work. Please, it'd be nice to get a motion out there so I can be and get the answer from that man on the 30th before he goes. I deserve that.
Chairman, with due respect to the gentleman, I don't think that a vote is necessary. I think my the
memorandum.
gentleman to my right just asked for it, and I think it's a reasonable request, and it
Yep.
ought to be, I think Mr. Carr made a reasonable request that would be followed up on.
I was under the assumption that that's what we were gonna do, is have a memorandum on it.
A memorandum does this guy no good.
Hold
This guy put a
Mr.
word in there that's
Mr.
obstructing him from
Mr.
getting his
McDonald,
grant.
hold on.
Mr. McDonald,
You
just
know,
one
if
one
you're
moment,
capable
one
of
moment, Mr.
getting
McDonald,
that-
please.
Again, it's to the chairman's discretion as him or her setting up the agenda. And so they'll set it up their way. There's no vote needed. You can set it up with Mr. McCoy's request to answer, or, as I said, have the town manager give a memorandum of the explanation of the application as to why it was changed.
That's what, when you made that recommendation, that's
I'm a
what,
people person. I wish you'd do that. Thank you, Mr. Carr. I'll keep quiet. I'm a people person. I hope you have me on the agenda. I really do.
the 30th is a special meeting, and then the 13th is when we have our regular meeting, and that's, and we've already decided that we're gonna do a memorandum to you pertaining to this. New business?
Announcements.
Announcements. Any announcements?
Mr. Chair? A couple of things. One, I just want to say that this past Friday, I went to the Sarasota Lecture Fund at the middle school. They had an Elvis tribute, so I'd like to thank the members of the Sarasota Lecture Fund that put that on. It was a good show, and it was a good, it shows Wilmington, 155 people showed up, and it was just a nice event. The other thing that I wanted to bring forward, I'll leave this off with the town manager's office, is that we did have a discussion 2 meetings ago about the MBTA, specific to scheduling and flag stops and all that. I'll leave this with the town manager. This is the current, I got this from Brian Kane from the MBTA. This is the current schedule for the North Wilmington stop. Basically, what they do is that the train does scheduled stops, and then they do flag stops in many locations, not just the North Wilmington location, But the flag stop basically is a stop where a resident can, put up, basically signal the train to either pick them up or to drop them off. Otherwise, the train's just going to keep going through. And the reason being is that they're trying to keep the train on schedule. So if there's not a reason to stop at a particular location, it's my understanding that the train will not stop. So again, I'll leave this with the manager, but he can put it in our next packet. But again, you can clearly see that there's many stops from many towns that are designated flag stops. And
Thank you.
yeah, you can give that to Jeff if you want.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take the opportunity to congratulate the community and the members of the Senior Center Committee. As you know, there'll be a groundbreaking for the new Senior Center on Wednesday. I had the good fortune of serving on the Senior Center Building Committee for almost 2 years, and I want to congratulate my colleague, Ms. Maselli, and all the others that have served on that committee on this great accomplishment. I regret that I will not be able to be there since it is Wednesday at noontime, but this is the first big groundbreaking in this community in almost a decade for a major building project. So I regret that I won't be able to be there due to my work commitment, but I congratulate the committee and the community on this celebratory event.
Chair, I can concur with my colleague, Mr. Bendel. I didn't notice it on important dates, so I did write it in. It's missing, which is unfortunate. It should be on important dates as this agenda is posted. There are a lot of individuals who spent a lot of time and energy, hours amongst hours of nights and working on the senior center, and I want to congratulate all of them for their efforts in putting this all together and seeing it happen. And unfortunately, it's a Wednesday, and it's at noontime, and I do have work commitments as well. For the life of me, I don't understand why it's such an important ceremony is on a weekday at noontime when so many individuals work in the town of Wilmington that probably would have wanted to participate, including some on the committee, but the wisdom of those individuals who made that decision decided it to be a workday at noontime. But I want to congratulate the Senior Center Building Committee for their work in getting this nice-looking building in place. So enjoy Wednesday, October 25th at noontime for the groundbreaking.
Mr. Chair, I would just note that this is, as I noted in a prior memo, not unprecedented. The fact of the matter is that the last few groundbreakings have happened during the week, during the business day, and that the committee, the Senior Center Building Committee, was the committee that in fact decided on this very date. So, I'm sorry if it impacts people, but to suggest that somehow I nefariously tried to thwart people's ability to get to this meeting, again, is not true.
Mr. Chair, I find it kind of funny that he responds to an announcement, but won't respond to individuals on public comment. That just is not right. Absolutely not right.
Well,
that he
most
would
of what I have
respond-
done for the last
And
few
let me
years
tell
has
you
been
something.
not right by
all
you,
of the
Mr.
things,
Tyra.
all of the
Please,
things
please,
that you
let's-
have scheduled during the week isn't right. That you're leaving the elected officials out, Mr. Hull. Just because it happened in the past doesn't mean that it's correct. You can change
Not
things that have
scheduled this,
happened in the
Mr.
past,
Kyra. It was
Mr.
suggested
Hull.
by the
Right,
committee
right,
that you
right, Mr. Hull? You
just sent
can change
accolades
that.
about.
Let's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the
Calm down.
dictator, am I?
Are you?
Let-
I don't know.
I don't know. You
Let's-
seem to
this
think
is enough.
maybe
I
you
don't
are the
know.
dictator.
Am I?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, my goodness.
can we move on from this discussion?
yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Hull. Oh, terrible.
Well, you've told me that before. I'm what, the player's Coach, I'm the worst town manager you've ever seen.
Never said that.
Oh,
Mr.
you
Hope.
absolutely
I
have.
have
Let's
never
move
said
on-
you
let's
are a
move on from
liar.
this.
You know
Let's
what?
move on from
You're-
this,
I'm
please.
telling you this,
Let's-
that you're a liar, because I've never said that to you.
You've never told me that I'm
I've
the worst
never
town
said
manager
that you're
you
the
ever
worst
said.
town manager.
Let's move on.
Never
from
told me
this.
that I'm the player's
You're
coach
an-
because I
absolutely. I've told
Yeah,
you you're
because
a
I-
player's coach. What
because
does that
I
mean?
give-
That-
because
does
I'm
that
too
mean that you're
generous
the
with the
worst town
employees.
manager? Does
No,
that mean
you've
that you're
said-
the worst town manager, Mr. Ho? Just because you're a player's coach?
Please.
No.
You've
Yeah,
said
you're-
that.
you're
You've told me
Please.
that.
You're totally
Okay.
lying, Mr. Ho.
Please.
Well, I'll leave it to the
Totally lying.
population out there to
Totally lying.
decide
You-
who they
you
think is
left
the.
this town in terrible shape by leaving the way you're leaving,
I
unfortunately.
gave this community 4 months, and people stewed and
Yeah,
stopped
yeah,
and couldn't figure out what
Please,
to do.
let's move
And
on.
now I'm to blame for that too.
Let's move
You've
on to
tucked it
important
to the
dates,
community
please.
the way you've wanted
Yeah, I've
to.
tucked it to everybody, right?
Let's
Because you
move
folks
on to
couldn't make a
important dates.
decision.
Certainly have, sir.
Let's move on to important dates.
Important.
Or new business first. Any new business? No? Now important dates.
Important dates, curbside collection, yard waste, October 23rd to the 27th. October 25th is the drop-off Old Main Street, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The 28th is drop-off Old Main Street, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Horribles Parade is on October 29, 4:30 p.m. November 1st is the Town School Administration Building Committee meeting, Town Hall, Room 9, 6 p.m. November 1st is the Environmental Protection Agency Public Information Forum, Olin Superfund site, 6:30 to 8:30 at the middle school cafeteria. November 4th is Shredding Day, Municipal Parking Lot, 9 a.m. to noon. November 5th is the setting the clocks back, change batteries. November 8th, the Senior Center Building Committee, 9 a.m., Room 9, 6 p.m. The November 10th is the town offices will be closed. November 11th, Veterans Day ceremonies, 11 a.m. November 13th is the next Select Board meeting, Room 9, 7 p.m. Board meets again on November 27th, 7 p.m. November 27th is the discussion of local property taxes with reference to classification, fiscal '24 budget, or tax rate rather, Select Board meeting, Room 9, 7 p.m.
Now I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Bendel for salute to service.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the board, it's my privilege tonight to salute Corporal Orlando Colomino, who served in the United States Air Force. He enlisted in April of 1946, and he served in the Philippines during World War II, and was honorably discharged in October of 1947, earning the World War II Victory Medal. He's a longtime Wilmington resident, and he and his wife Teresa were married 72 years until his passing just this past September. So tonight we mourn his loss. We thank him for his service. We send our condolences to his wife and his family, and we salute him for his service. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Good night, everyone.